And this guy was open carry, and he had his 2 young kids. They were like 8 and 9 years old. And it was in a Walmart or something like that. And a little girl, she was about 5 years old, came up to him, and she was really distraught. And she says, "Can you help me? I can't find my mommy. Are you a policeman?"
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "No, honey, I'm not a policeman, but I'm a good guy. What we're going to do is we're going to find your mom." And I don't know why he didn't go to the loudspeaker, to the desk and say, "We have a little girl."
Yeah, right.
But he said, "Where, do you know where your car is?" So, yeah. So they go out to the car and they wait. And then mom comes running out, and she sees her daughter and she's all happy and turns out really nice. But the fact is that the little girl was not afraid of the gun, that actually went up to that person for help.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended very nicely. And the point was, kids necessarily aren't afraid of guns. And she may have thought
not
he was
only
a police
not
officer.
necessarily. I think the rule is they are not unless they're indoctrinated to be.
Right. I've always made the statement that it's like, it's an inanimate object. Kids aren't afraid of like rocks or a hammer.
Because they have more sense than a lot of adults who are running this country, right? They're not afraid of things like that.
Kids, and humans are innately afraid of like snakes and lizards and crocodiles and bears and politicians and stuff like that.
Right.
But not rocks and sticks and guns. Unless they have any context for it, it's not frightening to them.
Yeah.
It's the parents that react that makes them be afraid of it.
Now,
And many do it on purpose.
To further this whole
So anyway,
garbage,
this bill is a bad bill.
It is a bad bill. The executive director of the Michigan Coalition of Responsible Gun Owners went as far as calling people like you and I extremists.
Yeah, we're extremists because
Right?
we
He
oppose
says,
this bill.
We've been in this position many times between gun control advocates on one side and no compromise crowd on the other, right? But they're very, 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 very successful.
They've been at it for a long time, and they've made progress. Well, actually, after they got the concealed carry pass in 2001, we didn't hear from them until the last 2 years when they got a new executive director.
Right.
So they've really been absent.
Well, I will tell you that the new executive director in this same statement talks about how everything they do is based on, their beginnings and why they were founded, and
which is to compromise. That's what he says.
Look, and they're okay with it.
Yeah.
They're okay with that. I think.
I don't know. I should ask them if they would ever support constitutional carry. I suspect they
will.
Well,
so they claim, and still, if you ask them, I bet they say they have no position. Or have they taken a position on this bill yet?
I don't know if they've officially come out and said we approve it because they're going to say we haven't seen its final form yet.
Yeah.
It's in committee.
The last time we had them on the show, they said, well, we haven't taken a position, even though one of our board members drafted it and submitted it. But look at their Facebook page. And you see 10,000 posts about this Senate bill, right? How many did you see about the constitutional carry bill that was put forth? Just a couple, and they were really like, hey, here's a thing.
And what I love about Michigan Coalition's Facebook page is when you look at all the comments, they're all 100% in favor of this bill. You know why that is?
Because people like me get banned.
Yeah,
for
they
saying
erase
this is
any
crap.
kind of controversy to it.
It's horrible. Why don't they just remove the ability to comment on their page?
Right.
A lot of organizations do that.
Information. They just put out information.
If you don't want to hear people that disagree with you via Facebook comments, you don't need to let people comment.
They can create a private group where they let people in if they want to hear from their members. Members only type
they could,
thing.
like a forum or something, which I think they have.
They used to.
Oh, they don't anymore?
But they used to ban everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why Michigan gun owners split off and created their own group.
Well, at least he's right when he says everything they do now is based on their beginnings and what they did in the history.
They haven't changed their...
Still banning people
Their
for
MO
crap.
is exactly the same.
Oh, it's horrible.
I got banned and I had to beg and plead.
Well, I did that once too.
The executive director I said, "Hey, what are you doing?"
I think
I'll let you back on.
I think I'm all out of begging and pleading.
Yeah.
Actually, this time I just don't give a damn about it.
Right.
It's absurd.
And
absolutely absurd.
And I hardly ever comment on them anymore because I would get banned.
They get no more of my money, that's for sure.
So, anyways, that's that.
So you want to keep with the anti-gun crap because the U.S. Senate is going to put something forward, or they're talking about it anyway. Isn't this exciting? Because look, recently we had a shooting, and according to our president, we need to politicize this, right? So we played the clip of him last week, which wasn't the entire clip. Apparently, we were kind of duped on that. It was edited
because he did talk. He
did absolutely say we need gun control. This is ridiculous. We need gun control. We need to politicize this tragedy. Never let a good tragedy go to waste.
So what are they? Okay, so let's look at what they're going to do. What are they proposing? Because all I hear is we need to do more, but nobody comes out and says this is what we're going to do.
They absolutely. This is very, very detailed.
Okay, so let's look at the first thing.
It's this whole effort is led by Chuck Schumer and another member of the board of Michigan Coalition for Responsible Government, Debbie Stabenow.
Yeah,
that's not true. But
that's not true. But she is from Michigan and she's anti-gun.
Yeah, from Michigan, which is sad. Yeah, so they want to broaden federal background checks.
Okay, so let's take that one. How do you do that?
You broaden it.
Okay, how do you do that?
Well, you broaden it.
How do you do that?
You broaden it.
Because I just read that that's impossible to do.
Oh, yeah, but no, now it'll include gun shows.
They already do background checks at gun shows.
You broaden it.
What about online purchases?
You broaden it.
They already do background checks on online purchases. You can't buy a gun online without going through a federal licensed person.
You can on Craigslist.
Can you?
Sure. Well, you can't actually purchase it on Craigslist, but you can meet.
Well, yeah. I mean, people do that on forums and stuff now. I don't really see that as an online gun store business.
No, it isn't.
Because,
but isn't that a loophole? You could have sold me. We could be right now. I could be buying a rifle from you.
It depends,
and I'm not doing a background check
because
here's your money.
You're right. Within the state, I think. Because we have laws that say you can't bring guns across state line, or you can't buy one. Like I can't buy one, in Ohio and bring it back. I have to have it shipped to a licensed person.
And then get a background check.
And they do a background check. So there's a ton of background checks already done. So I don't know what that means by broadening it.
Just broaden it.
And the fact that they're talking about private sales, how do you regulate that? If you and I want to sell a gun to each other,
registration.
Right, that's the only thing, and that's the issue is that most states and the federal government doesn't have, so they say, registrations.
Unfortunately, Michigan does.
So if I buy a gun from you
on handguns,
well, I know that Michigan's different because you have to do a handgun. Yeah. But if I want to buy a shotgun from you, how are you going to enforce any kind of background check?
$200.
Right, and I'm going to do what?
Give me $200.
And if I don't do it.
Yeah, right.
And
I know.
And I got you. I got the shotgun. How are they going to know you sold it to me?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could have. There's a little bit of a paper trail, but you could do the same thing with a handgun.
You'd have to have regregistration of every gun, and that's really what they mean.
Of course, it is.
And so most people are opposed to registrations, even people that are on the fence.
So to further broaden this federal background check thing, right now, if the FBI doesn't complete their portion of the background check within like 3 days or something, the sale can go through.
Right, but
most FBI was slow.
Most FFLs won't do it though.
We're broadening, Brian.
Okay.
They want to increase that number. They don't say what they want to increase it to, but more than 3 days. Broadened. Right. So you have to wait 4 days or 10 or probably 180 days.
30 days or whatever.
30,000 days or something. Domestic abusers, right, which we know is a huge percentage of people who murder with firearms. That's not true.
Aren't they already prohibited?
It depends. What does domestic abuser mean?
If they're convicted and they have a criminal conviction for domestic abuse, I think they're prohibited from, except for police officers.
So one thing I read is if you have a personal protective order against you from somebody, there is an exception for somebody who is threatened by an ex. So, like, if we're together, we're a couple, right? This isn't too far-fetched here.
We're not.
Well, but we're going to fight in a minute. Don't worry. So, if you take out a PPO on me, right? So I have to stay away from you. But there's like a direct threat from you against me. Then there's an exception where I could still be able to have a firearm. Because if you have a PPO, you're prohibited, right? In many places.
Well, it depends if it's in the PPO. I think, at least in Michigan.
They
can add
I don't
it.
know.
It's almost always
anyway,
added, but it doesn't have to be added, and the judge can...
Something I read revolved around they want to remove that exemption. So, like, if a woman, her husband or her boyfriend takes PPO out on her, but she's threatened by him, they don't want her to be able to have a gun because she has that PPO, which means she's a bad person automatically, right? Even though they get issued for
whatever
on somebody's word,
like candy,
yeah. And also make straw purchases a federal offense.
I thought they already were.
We're broadening.
I thought straw purchases was a federal offense.
I don't know. Yeah.
So
I got this from like MSNBC or something, so they don't know anything anyway. But I don't know where it came from. But.
Yeah, so I don't see anything new or anything that we haven't or aren't already doing.
And at the very least, we can say I don't see anything that will do a damn bit of good.
Well, that's the other thing. Most of these things are implemented, and we still have mass murders because you can't stop human behavior. You can't stop craziness.
Well, you can. Well, you can't stop craziness, but you can stop human behavior. Which is what happens in many of the other countries where they do ban private ownership of firearms, right?
Right.
They stop a whole bunch of human behavior. Right? I mean, they kill people. That's what it comes to.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
You're
talking about the criminal?
I'm saying no. Well, the criminal, no, but
execute them. But
I'm saying
so
this is not about criminals, right? It's about controlling people.
Right.
You look through history.
But
when people don't have guns, what does the government always end up doing?
That's true.
Murdering a bunch of them.
Not only that, but if you look at the UK now, which has 3 times the violent crime that the United States has, people still inflict harm and do damage to other people in their lives.
Yeah.
With all kinds of guns control measures in place, banned guns. It doesn't stop it. You can't let the genie's out of the box. Not only that, you can make a gun in 4 or 5 hours from stuff at Home Depot. Or Lowe's.
Which we'll get to when we come back. Home Depot, there's a case involving guns in Michigan that's interesting that we can talk about just briefly. But we're going to take a break. AdultShow.com, Facebook.com/AdultShow.
Don't you want trivia?
Please do the trivia question.
Okay, this is a good one. You won't know this one.
No, I won't.
Which president was the first president to view the Pacific Ocean? What was the first president that saw the Pacific Ocean?
George Washington, obviously. All right, we'll be right back.
Are you looking for some way cool t-shirts? Check out ChugDug.com. They have hundreds of crazy fun t-shirts like gun, patriotic, and you better believe zombie shirts. At ChugDug.com, you'll find quality shirts at a quality price. All shirts start at just $10 with free shipping over $50. Mention Radio 1 coupon code at checkout and grab a cool 10% off. That's ChugDug.com. T-shirts with attitude.
At odds.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. But doctors have recently discovered they are unable to reverse or control serious side effects, such as internal bleeding caused by Xarelto. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Call now if you or a loved one was hospitalized from any form of internal bleeding or stroke after taking Xarelto. You may be entitled to a cash award and substantial financial compensation. Don't be a silent victim. There is limited time to file a claim, so call now. Call 800-837-9483. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-837-9483. That's 800-837-9483. Again, 800-837-9483.